have to start because time is going and we have to go by time. Yeah, so let's get started. Let me share my screen first.
Valla 4 tanesi bizden zaten katılanların 12 kişi katılmış.
Okay. All right. So today, our topic for today is designing local initiatives on climate and migration. Hello, please, can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay, all right. So
You are all fine, Seth.
Okay. Our topic for today is designing local initiatives on climate and migration. And our subtopic here is from climate pressure to community action, designing local responses to climate-induced migration. Okay, so the objectives for today, as we have broken down the main topic, that's climate, migration, and local initiative. And under climate, this is to strengthen us to understand how climate impacts like drought, flooding, environmental degradation, food loss, and etc. can create local vulnerability that influence migration. Now, when it comes to migration, our objective for today is to help you understand and to deepen your understanding of migration as a climate-linked adaptive response or as a climate outcome, and how well-designed local initiative can promote integration, resilience, and social cohesion. And with local initiative, this workshop or this training under local initiative is to equip you with practical tools and framework to design inclusive community-based initiatives that respond to climate and migration challenges at the local level. Let's not forget about that, because the topic is to design local initiative. Okay, so now the whole topic, let's simply break it down so we understand it, so that we can even explain it to the layman or children. I always try to do this, that my workshop, my training, my facilitation, everything is explained in terms that I'm explaining it to. You can explain it to children for them to understand. So when climate impact happened, when we have land degradation, flood, all these problems, when they happen, they create pressure on livelihood. Said that it forces people to move from where they used to be, because if your place is flooded, like we see here, you can no longer stay there. When you are displaced, it means you have to move to a different place. So when the climate issues, when the climate pressures happen, it leads to migration and displacement. So when you are displaced and you have to migrate to a different location or different country or different cities, while we are at it, we have to design a local initiative, that intervention to stop future climate pressures or climate impacts that bring about migration and displacements. Okay, so the images here explain climate outcome, and this is a displaced settlement, this is flood, and this here is you advocating for climate intervention. And this image here is here to represent young people coming together to do what? To design local initiatives or local intervention to solve climate and migration issues. Okay, so in brief, We are going to cover how to understand climate impacts, understand migration as an outcome of climate, then how to design sustainable and aligned interventions. We can design interventions, we can design initiatives, but when they don't align to the problem at hand, it becomes another problem. So this training is going to teach us how to design aligned interventions or initiatives to climate and migration issues. Not like migration, but migration as an outcome of climate effects. Okay, so before we continue, please, this is very, very important. If you don't do this, you find yourself wanting at the end of this training, because today's training is very practical. We are going to, at the end of it, we should be able to design our own initiative that fits a particular problem in our respective community. So, what initiative do you believe will work for your local community? Because you know what climate issues you are facing in your community. It doesn't have to be flood only, because it is not only flood that causes people to move or that make people displaced. So think of an initiative that you believe will work for your local community as an intervention to climate and migration outcomes. We are just using 3 minutes to do this. So while you are doing this, think of a title or a topic of your initiative or an intervention. It can be a program, it can be a project, it can be an activity. Just think of it quick. We are using just 3 minutes to do this. And please, you may write this on a sheet of a paper. We will come back to it at the end of this session. So let's get quicker, please. Okay, I hope we've all taken notes. I hope we've all written it down, the title or the topic of the initiative or the intervention we want to take to curb climate effects, climate impact, and migration outcome as an effect of climate. Okay, so now, understanding climate impacts. In simply put, climate impacts are harmful effects of changing climate on natural systems and human societies. So what this simply means is that when climate impacts happen, natural systems are affected and human societies too are affected. So the change in climate conditions have effect on our natural systems and human societies. So examples are droughts. When there is drought, that means there is a change in our climate condition. When there is degradation, it brings about climate effects or climate outcome. Because when the land is degraded, it causes flood. Now, food insecurity. Food insecurity is an outcome of climate effects. Because when, for instance, in Ghana here, and especially from the community the region that we farm in, last year and last 2 years, we faced food insecurity because we all know in which months it rains. But in those months, the rain were not frequent as compared to the previous year. So there was a lot of food insecurity. Harvest was affected, income was affected, livelihood was affected, and displacement. And of course, we cannot talk about climate effects without talking of displacement. When climate happens, for instance, like I mentioned before, droughts, flood, loss of jobs, food insecurity, all these pressures leads to displacement. It makes people to migrate to different cities, different countries, different towns to start life all over. And then flood. Flood too is an outcome of climate impact, like I mentioned before. Now, climate as a local reality. Climate impacts are very broad, they are diverse, and each community may face different outcome. What you may face as an outcome of climate impacts, a different community is also experiencing different reality. So within the context of where I come from, field harvest, water shortage, loss of income, and then again, flood are our realities, even though there are more. But then these four that I've mentioned, field harvest, water shortage, loss of income, and flood, are our realities here when we are talking of climate impacts. Okay, now the topic, as we all know, designing local initiative on climate and migration. So how do we understand climate-induced migration? Because not all migration is caused by climate. Some people genuinely migrate to go and start life elsewhere. But then when we are talking of climate-induced migration, how do we understand it? That's movement for settlement of people, either temporarily or permanently due to climate outcomes. And again, the problem or the pressures or the impact I mentioned under climate impact are the same reason why people migrate. Because when you are affected by all these impacts of climate, you are forced to do what? Leave your community to go and settle elsewhere. It could be in a different country, it could be in a different city, a different town, or wherever you find a new settlement. Okay, so when displacements and migration happen, like what happens? It puts certain challenges on people. It puts certain challenges on the community at the local level. We won't even talk about the global issues because like when we solve a problem from the local settings, we are likely to get a sustainable outcome. So when displacement and migration happen, these are some of the challenges that we face at the local level. One being pressure on housing. So imagine a community where flood has scraped off all the buildings. The people are there, but then there are no housing, there are no building, there are no rooms for them. It creates pressure on housing. Now, more people, less job. Climate impact brings about loss of job. So there becomes more people than the jobs available. And it makes seeking for job very competitive because imagine there are 50 job openings where we have about 300 people looking for this job opening. And now another point is cultural misunderstanding. If you have left your community or your city or even your country to move to a different place, definitely the culture there is different, and you are now going to move there with your own culture that have shaped and transformed your living and your reality. You are now going to try to assimilate with a new culture, and it brings about misunderstanding because there are certain things you do in your former place, which is very cool, but you move to a new place, which is like questionable. So you do that and people kind of don't understand you. And this cultural misunderstanding is not only on the migrants and even those who are already at their place and the migrants go there. The migrants misunderstand the culture of the people there. The people there also misunderstand the culture of the migrants. Okay, now social tension. And of course, when it creates tension on our society as a whole. Okay, so now how do we design interventions? National and global policies are important, but then when floods displace families or drought destroys livelihoods, it is local communities that respond first. Of course, when we have faced floods recently, some parts of Accra here, we face flood. It is not the global community that is going to respond to that problem there and then. It is those people who are affected, those people in that community that is going to respond to it first. That is why it is very, 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 very important that when we are designing an initiative or an intervention, we look at it from the perspective of the local people who are affected. We cannot design an initiative that solves a problem. We can't be in a particular community designing an intervention or an initiative to suit their problem. Why that solution does not even answer to their problem, but then that solution rather answers to a problem in a different city or a different town, different region, or a different country. So why does design matter? Why do we even have to come up with an initiative or an intervention at all? One, to reduce tension, because we mentioned that it creates social tension. When we have come up with an initiative that is going to solve climate impact and migration, or we have come up with an intervention, it reduces the tension on society. It strengthens resilience. Imagine that you are going through like a problem. You are displaced, you've lost your job, you are not having good harvest, and then you know that there is an intervention ongoing to solve this problem. It kind of instills hope in you, the one who is affected. So the reason why design matter is that it strengthens resilience. If you are giving up, even the thoughts of an intervention being designed for you bring some hopes to you. So it strengthens your resilience to keep on fighting the problem. Now, it supports integration. When, for instance, you are affected in your community and there is an intervention which states that, oh, you have to move from this community to this place because you can no longer stay here. That is the integration that is going to happen because you moving to integrate yourself into a different community. And I mean, integration is unity, because when you are mingle in a new community, you as the affected person, you are going to now integrate. Your solution should be climate informed. At the end of running your intervention or at the end of going with your initiative, they should be climate informed so that they will know what action to take to curb future problems. Now, it should be youth inclusive. This is very, 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 very important because you cannot sideline youth. You cannot put young people aside and create solutions. It will not work. So it should be youth inclusive. Make sure while you are involving the community people, all the youth are included in carrying out your intervention or in carrying out the initiative. Now, it should be sustainable and scalable. Another very important point, because sustainability, development thrive on sustainability. We cannot say we are solving problems and we are coming with solutions that are not sustainable. Solution that is only solving the immediate problem at hand. Solution that when we implement for future problems may not work. No, it shouldn't be so. So when we are designing the initiative, we should make sure that it is sustainable and scalable. Don't come up with any weird solution. Your solution can be simple. It doesn't have to be too packed for you to see that, oh, okay, it is packed, so this is going to work. It can be something as simple as you can think of that can be scaled and work and is sustainable. Now, Another point is it should be inclusive. The principle for designing local initiatives are inclusive. Like I mentioned before, community-led, youth inclusive. You cannot create excluded solution which are going to solve a particular issue of a group of people or a community. You are not creating the initiative for your own problem, for your personal problem. So it should be inclusive. It should be context specific. Yeah, we mentioned that it should be climate informed. If, for instance, the issue at hand is flood, make sure the context revolves around flood more than any other impact of climate. It is flood we are dealing with. So you don't go and focus more on other aspects of climate impact. Focus on the context of the problem. This way you are able to set aligned solutions to the problem. Okay, now involve migrants and host communities. If, for instance, the intervention is happening at the place when the migrant has moved to, involve them. Yes, it is going to also answer problems of the people who are already living there, but it also concerns them. So involve the migrants. And if, for instance, a host community, like let's say a community that is hosting the migrants, is not the one that is coming up with the solution. Let's say you are a third person, so you are designing the initiative or the intervention or the solution to the problem. If you, the one or the group of people coming up with those interventions, is not there, is you are not those hosting the migrants, make sure you involve both the migrants and the host communities. Now focus on long-term resilience. This is where sustainability comes in. Don't just design like an intervention that will be short-lived. Make sure it can answer future climate issues. This way it becomes long-term. This way resilience is long-kept. This way your solution becomes sustainable. All right, so what can we design? We are talking of designing. What can we design? Based on what issue has happened or based on what how the community is impacted, there are so many interventions we can come up with on climate and climate-induced migration. Example is CSA training, that's climate smart agriculture training for affected community, migrants and hosts. We can come up with community water management projects. We can come up with livelihood. We can come up with livelihood diversification programs. We can come up with youth-led integration dialogue. We can come up with short projects. We can come up with activities. We can come up with long-term programs. And all this. Hello. Yes. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Sorry about that. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know my screen was coming. Let me reshare. I don't know what
Yes, the
happened.
screen is off. Someone raised a hand in the book too.
Okay. Okay, please, you can talk. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, and choose organization.
Hello.
Please, You can talk. You have your hands up.
Yeah, in fact, I wanted to let you know about the presentation not being shared here.
Okay, okay. So please, where did it cut off so that I go back and start from there, or do I continue?
Well, you may proceed. I think from my
Okay.
from my end, I think.
Yeah, we can see it now.
Okay, all right. Okay. Okay. So these are some of the examples of interventions or initiatives that we can come up with to help curb climate impact and climate-induced migration. Okay. So succeeding at designing a sustainable local initiative. I mean, we all can design things, right? We all can design solutions. We all can do this, can do that. But then, as we mentioned, the principles, it also comes with, sorry. Okay. It also comes with certain principles we will have to follow to be what? Successful. One, we have to respect dignity. The fact that a community is affected does not mean they have no dignity. It does not mean you don't have to respect them because you are helping them. It does not mean that their dignity is stripped off. It is just a natural disaster that has happened to them. So they are still humans, you have to respect them. So keep this in mind. Respect people's dignity when you are helping them solve an issue. Now, another thing is strengthening cooperation. You cannot isolate different groups of people that you are creating the same issue, you are creating the same solution for. You have to integrate cooperation so that it strengthens the people, even if they have different understanding, different background, you have to bring them together. Now, build resilience. While you are coming up with the initiative, you don't have to spread fear. Oh, this thing that has happened to you is too dangerous. And yes, it has happened to them, but then build resilience in them. And this even make them to easily do what? To easily cooperate with the intervention that you are coming up. Now, address both climate and migration together. The migration is always caused by what? Climate impacts. So while you are coming up with solution for climate, make sure you also come out with solution for migration as an outcome of climate impact. Now, adult participatory approach. This is very, very, very important. I've already mentioned, any intervention you are coming up with, it is not about you. It is about the people. It is about the community. So if the very people that the issue concern, you are not involving them in the solution, then what are you trying to do? You don't impose solution on people. Other than that, your intervention, your solution, your initiative even dies before it starts. It is about them, so involve them. Let them participate. If we have to go and plant trees, let them plant the trees themselves. Let them clear the land themselves. Don't go and bring people or say, okay, I'm going to clear this land and plant these trees for you. No, let them do it. Whatever the solution is, involve them, include them. In fact, let them lead. It is not about you. So the participatory approach is very, very, very important. Okay, now Our role as young people in designing local interventions. Like I mentioned before, we cannot exclude young people. We cannot sideline young people. This is because youth bring innovation. We bring trust within communities. Our communication skills are intact. We have the energy for action. We have foresight and assertiveness, and then sustainability. So your role, anytime that you are coming up with an intervention, know that this is what you are bringing on board. Said that you don't go and be folding your hands, just standing there and doing nothing. Think of innovation, trust within community, communication skills, energy for action, foresight and assertiveness, sustainability. You are bringing all these varieties into the solution. So we should know that as young people, it is very, very, very important that we involve ourselves in designing local initiatives for climate impact and climate-induced migration. Okay, now we have another activity here. Imagine your community experiences climate-related displacement. This, we are not answering them in the chat, but as we've always been doing. Like I said before, with the first activities, we were supposed to do what? Write the topic and write it on a paper. So now, imagine your community experience climate-related displacement. What climate impacts, before we do this activity, I want us to, the next activity will come, but I want us to really think about this. What climate impact is driving migration? In your community, you don't have to think global. Look within your community. It cannot be your immediate community, but it can be a city in your country. Now, who is affected? Migrant, host, or both? And what local solution could you reduce pressure, or tension? Now I'm taking this again. We have to write our answers. Look within your community. Imagine your community experience climate-related displacement.
Kwani huko unafanya kazi umeiona wapi?
Hello.
Sijakupa laptop.
Is everything okay? Okay. All right. What climate impact is driving migration in your community? Now, who is affected by this climate impact? Now, what local solution could reduce pressure or tension? Okay. Now, remember that with our very first activity, I asked that whatever activity you come up with, you should write the title down. Please, is the screen showing?
Yes.
Okay, okay. So with the very title, we are going to do this very quickly. Then when we are done, you sit down and develop this. And at the end of it, you are going to get your own initiative. So answer this or do this like from your very like community perspective. You don't have to think global. Look within your community and do this. Okay. All right. So how do I design my sustainable local initiative? First of all, think of a title. So the title that you came up with in the very first activity, you have it already. Now, community context. When designing an initiative or an intervention, it should be community context, like I've already explained. Which country, which city, which community. Even write a brief description of the community that you are helping and what is the main climate challenge affecting that community. So you have to write all this down. What is the main climate challenge affecting that particular community that you are designing the local initiative for? Now we come to climate migration link. How does climate change affect livelihood in that community where you are designing the solution for them. How does climate change affect livelihood in that particular community? Has that challenge lead to displacement or not? Has that challenge leads them to be displaced? And as a result, has that particular challenge caused them to migrate? It is your community, or it is your city, or it is your region, or it is your country. So look within and answer this. Okay, now the next step is problem statement. You have to clearly define the problem statement of that community. You describe the key problem your initiative is addressing. So is it tension between migrant and host community? You have to, the initiative that you are designing, clearly define your problem statement. What is that initiative going to solve primarily? What's the solution? What is it particularly solving? Okay, now target audience. Who are the targets of this initiative? Is it young people only? Is it women? Is it farmers? Is it male farmers only? Is it female farmers only? Or is it migrants only? Is it displaced people only? You know your community, so you will best answer this. Okay, now you come to your proposed local initiative. What will this my initiative do? I'm coming up with an initiative. I'm designing a local initiative on climate and climate-induced migration. Okay, what will it do? You know the answer. How does it address both climate and migration challenges? Because let's not forget the title or the topic we are dealing with. Designing local initiative on climate and migration. And this migration, I explained that it is the climate-induced migration. Migration caused by climate impacts. Okay, so like how does my solution or my intervention or my initiative address both climate and migration challenges? Now, how does it promote cooperation or social cohesion? Because we mentioned that when the principle, when we were talking about the principles, it's mentioned that it creates cooperation. And then when we were talking of the impact, we mentioned that it creates tension on societies. It creates social tension. So how does it promote cooperation or social cohesion? Okay, point 7. Then we move to activity. Come up with 3 to 5 key activities that this your local initiative will carry out. Is it community dialogue session? Is it community entry program? Is it climate smart skills training? Are you training farmers? Are you training young people to be climate communicators? What is going to be your key activities of this initiative that you are designing for your local community? Okay, now, what is going to be the expected outcome of this your initiative? And please, I hope we are taking notes, because at the end, you should be able to do what? Design your local initiative. That is the highlight of today's session. It's not just like we listen. That's why you have to take notes, so that you can design it, you can broaden what you are writing down right now, you can deepen it, you can add more flesh to it, and for it to become what? An initiative, a sustainable one that is going to answer to your local community on climate and climate-induced migration. Okay. So what is the expected outcome? Okay, so maybe the expected outcome of my initiative is to reduce tension or improve resilience, or better, like strengthen integration or increase climate awareness. The answer is solely and solely with you. Now, the role of young people. I never leave young people out of any of the things I do, because we are very, very, very important to driving sustainable development in the world. Okay, how will young people be involved? Are they going to be designing? Are they going to be implementing? Or are they going to lead the whole initiative? Write the role of young people in the initiative, in the local initiative that you are designing. Okay, now let's move to sustainability. This is very, 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 very important. How can this initiative continue after implementation? You have come up with the initiative, you've implemented. How does it continue, even in your absence or even for future problems? Okay, so how are you going to drive sustainability? How are you going to make sure that the knowledge does not revolve around you only? So are you going to look for local partnerships so that the knowledge is imparted in them, that in your absence, they can also implement it? Are you going to give ownership of the problem or of the solution to the community? Or is it that once you are gone, the solution goes with you? So think of it, is it partnership or community ownership? And this is very, very, very important, community ownership. You see, when you are doing something for a particular community and you make them own it, you make them like lead it, you make them like the owners of the solution, like the solution will go far. Because it's not like they were just there and you just came and say, okay, I am doing this for you. But you came like, this is what I have thought of. Then you seek for their opinion. What do you think? This is the problem at hand. How do we solve it? You come up together with solutions, and then you make the community own the solution. They lead the development of the solution that you are coming up with. Leave the community, leave the city, leave the region, leave the country, and the solution will still continue. Your intervention will still solve problems. And this is what we call like sustainable impact. It's not about you just going to a community, tell them what to do and leave them alone. It's not sustainable. Okay, now let's move to the next point, which is potential challenges and mitigation. So think of what could possibly go wrong in the initiative that you are designing, and think of how to curb those challenges in case they happen. Okay, then our final point is monitoring, evaluation, and success indicator. How will you monitor the intervention? Are you going to assign duties to people so that oh, when I want to know how far the implementation has gone, I know a particular group of people I'm contacting. When I want to know what has been done, I know who I'm contacting. Okay, then evaluation and success indicators. What will you use at a point of success of the initiative? What will be achieved that you tell yourself, yes, I have succeeded with this, my local initiative? So you think of it quickly. So I'm leaving this screen on for just 2 minutes. You can write them down, then we continue to the next slide. It is very, very, very important. Your title, community context, climate migration link, problem statement, target audience, proposed local initiative, activities, expected outcomes, role of young people, sustainability, potential challenges and mitigation, and monitoring, evaluation, and success indicators. Okay. So now, our call to action here is that climate change may be global, migration may cross borders, but solution starts what? Locally. Let's not forget, anywhere in the world that something happens, is the immediate people in that particular location that takes action first. So remember, solutions start locally. You have the power to design initiatives that transform vulnerability into resilience. We have the power, we have the ideas, we have the innovations, we have the foresight, we have the energy to come up with initiative, sustainable one that is going to answer to local problems on climate and climate-induced migration. So let's not forget about that. Your voice matters as a young people, as a young person, your voice matters, your input matter. In fact, your existence matter. You matter to your community, you matter to your city, you matter to your country. The little idea that you are downgrading, you think, oh, this is just a small idea, could actually be what will work, could actually be what will save your community, could actually be what will save your country from serious climate issues. So like, don't sleep on your ideas, don't sleep on your knowledge, don't sleep on your ability to think, the power of your brain. Bring them all out, design local initiative on climate, come up with dialogues, come up with whatever that pique your interest in climate and give it a shot in the world. Okay, so like always, even though this is co-funded by the European Union, all the ideas, the examples, everything shared here was from my own views as a development, communication, and sustainability expert, and does not express the views of the European Union. Thank you, and I've always been Nafufujani, and it's been great hosting today's session too. Okay, so now the floor is open for any questions or clarification, anything else before we call it a day. Thank you. Okay, so please now the floor is open. Any question, please? Should I mention names? Okay, either question or like addition or comment or any other thing.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. It's been such an inspirational presentation. We've learned so much from it. And like you said, going forward, I think we all has a role to play in this. So partners, I don't know if anyone has something to add, suggestions or questions. Let's hear from you, the audience.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, the presenter, for this nice presentation, and especially for drawing us closer to the understanding of this topic. I really like the fact that you break down the flow of how we can carry out our local initiatives in trying to come up with the activities or initiatives that might try to reduce the impacts of climate migration. It's a big issue, even though right now it's not being taken as a quite serious. From the perspective of my country at the moment, we are already, right now, this is the rainy season, and we're already being affected by some of these climatic related impacts. And already people have moved out of their original homes into, for example, campo areas where, living conditions are always poor, and when it comes to access to food and other livelihood needs, always becoming, I mean, it's always a challenge, and it continues to be a challenge. And as a country, we're losing a lot because the resources that are being channeled into covering the needs that are needed right now in order to curb or to assist the people that have been affected. Or that if some of these initiatives were to be taken, maybe we would be reducing the impacts that we are facing at the moment. People are losing lives. I should say people have lost lives. They have lost their homes, and a lot more property. And also recently, throughout our main road route, we've had so many cuts affecting the daily activities of the nation, because vehicles cannot proceed from one side to the other because for example, bridges have been washed away, and other maybe routes have completely been cut off. So all this is affecting our daily lives, and coming up with initiatives that might try and reduce some of these impacts would be really a very important step to take. We've always mentioned this in most of the sessions that have been conducted on this platform, to say we need to do something. We don't have to wait for a group of people to come and encourage us to say, let's go and do a BCT. But if everyone takes a role to say, let me do, for example, let me plant a tree. Let me ensure that the agricultural activities I'm doing here are, by the end of the day, protecting the river banks or other watershed areas. All these initiatives are there to help reduce the impacts of climate change. But I really thank you so much for this presentation and how best we can design these local initiatives to ensure that we are able to curb climate change impacts. Thank you so much.
Thank you too. Thank you.
Can I contribute?
Sure.
My name is Sonek from Kenya, and I would like to congratulate you for time and expertise and taking your time to ensure that everyone gets knowledge and information on this very important issue. Kenya is primarily an agricultural country where agriculture is actually the mainstay of the economy, but also it's a country of great contrasts, because you see, on one hand, we have got 3/4 of the country which is agricultural. Then we have a quarter of the country which is semi-arid, which means that at the time that we are talking at the moment, some parts of the country we have experienced flooding. Of course, you know, with all the destruction that comes with the flooding. Then on the other part of the country, especially in the northern Kenya, we have drought, especially in areas where we have 2 major refugee camps that are actually hosting slightly more than 2 million refugees, especially from the Great Lakes region. Now you can imagine the impact of all these crises now on our people, whereby on one side, people are suffering because of the effects of drought. The other side, people are suffering mainly because of the effects of so much rain, destroying farms and causing all manner of damage. So this actually also brings into perspective the issues on why we have actually to dedicate efforts towards managing resilience and also managing the challenges that face us at the moment. So I believe that if all the organizations that are committed to this cause, and of course through the communities that we work with, are able to leverage on what we do better, I think we stand a big chance to educate our people and also be able to ensure that the posterity also will be able to also gain something of what we have. Human beings, naturally, I think they are very selfish in nature. whereby the majority of our people always think about what is in need for them. People don't think about the future mostly. That's why you see that some people are destroying the environment simply because some of them are very sure that in the next 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, they'll be gone, they'll be dead. So they do not actually care what will happen to the future generations. So I think we have a duty to ensure that we are able to protect posterity in a manner that what we do today will affect generations that come after us. So let us also focus forward as we also do what we can as organizations. I know some of the efforts that we do are quite small in nature, but the impact that all the efforts which are put together by all the players make very big impact and supports the cause in a big way. So thank you very much, and I hope that although very few people on this Zoom, I'm sure because you see YouTube on the YouTube, and we can ensure that as many people as possible have an opportunity to learn something from what you have presented, and let us also do our best as organizations in terms of dissemination of the information that has been shared today, which is very important. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the best.
Thank you too. Thank you. Thank you for your input.
Thank you.
And please, any more inputs? Hello, any question, any input, any other thing?
Don't worry to the.
The floor is still open, please. If you have anything to share, you can, or if you can share them in the chat box too. They will be well received. And also, we have shared the post-survey form in the chat box. Please do well to fill it for us because it's very, very important. We need it for reports, please. Okay, in the absence of any question, any input, any other thing to add,